For most of my life, I was someone with pretty poor attention span, and it is no exaggeration to say that I couldn't even focus for 10 minutes without zoning out. Because of this, naturally I had horrible grades throughout high school, and my teachers didn't really think I would amount to much in life. But fast forward to today, things look drastically different. I went from not being able to focus for 10 minutes to now being able to focus for 4 to 5 hours in a day. This ability to focus is what has allowed me to become one of the best performing students in my bachelor's and master's program to work as a software engineer at Fortune 500 companies. I would credit my increase in attention span to 3 weird strategies, and I promise you that if you apply them for a couple of weeks, your attention span is going to skyrocket too. The biggest mistake that I was making during my earlier days was that I would consume something quite entertaining early on in the day. It could be me scrolling, responding to text messages, or playing quick online matches. What this does is that, firstly, it makes your brain used to getting pleasure without effort. After scrolling and getting all that dopamine for free, you don't feel like picking up that math assignment or working on that coding problem. When your dopamine system is desensitized, focus becomes impossible. Secondly, when you start your day with checking messages, news or emails, then you're activating multiple other regions of your brain. This makes it really hard to focus on one task later on, because in order for you to focus, you are quite literally required to reduce the activity in other regions of your brain and only activate the brain circuits that are required by your current task. Now what I do is that I follow the blindfold method. In simple terms, you block out all hyperstimulation or distraction until and unless you finish doing your core cognitive tasks for the day. What this looks like for me is that when I wake up, my phone is already on flight mode, and the first thing that I do is some deep focused work. It is only after I have done 4 to 5 deep work sessions and I'm done for the day, that is when I allow myself to be entertained or to check my messages. Previously, my understanding of focus was that it was just an on and off switch, and one just needed to learn how to turn it on in order to really access focus. But the thing is, focus behaves more like a muscle. You actually need to build it before you can just start using it. I was someone who never actually trained his attention span, and you could hold me at gunpoint and ask me to focus on something, but I still wouldn't be able to, even in the most distraction-free environment. I just didn't have the muscles for it. Think about this, someone could ask you to do 10 pull-ups, but if you don't have the right muscles developed, you wouldn't be able to, no matter how many hacks and tricks you see on the internet. So what I started doing was that I started training my attention span, just the way that I would train a muscle. I would set up a timer for 20 to 30 minutes and I would just attempt to focus on a task and just stick with it, even if I felt uncomfortable or bored or distracted. Once the timer rang, that means I had completed one set of my focus workout. Then I would give myself a quick 10-15 minute break and continue the next training set. Just like how you would progressively overload the weight at the gym once you got a bit stronger, after a few days, I would either increase the duration of the timer or I would increase the number of focus sets that I would do. And using this, I was able to progressively overload my attention span to around 4 to 5 hours a day. Back when I was a skinny teenager, one of the biggest reasons why my mind felt so chaotic was because my room and my table were always disorganized. And at first, I didn't pay too much attention to it. But it is now that I realize your environment plays a significant role on the way that you think. If your environment is messy and disorganized, then your thoughts are going to be messy and disorganized too. If your table actually has a bunch of papers and sticky notes, then it's going to be harder for you to enter that state of deep focus. Also, when it's time to get some work done and you just can't find your stuff, that is a major productivity killer because of just how much friction it adds to the task. So now what I have done is that I have made it a priority of mine to always keep my room and my table highly organized, tidy, and minimalistic. This actually makes it much more enjoyable for me to sit down and get started with my deep work sessions. Additionally, each night I make sure that I know exactly what I'm going to be working on tomorrow, and I make sure that I have all the requirements for the task ready on my table before my work session ever starts. Look, I know that the promise of new and weird strategies, this gets people's attention and it gets me more clicks and views. And to be fair, these 3 techniques do work beautifully and can have a profound impact on your life. But I would be lying if I said this was all you need to skyrocket your focus. The truth is that these things only work if the foundations of your life are well in place. Meaning you have a good sleep schedule, you're avoiding processed food and eating good clean food. And you are working out at least a couple of times a week. You can't have elite focus with just tips and tricks. You need to have a proper base. I hope this video has helped you in some way. And as always, in case no one has told you this today, I'm rooting for you.